Well, Sean, you were shot twice in the line of duty, chased down the suspect, and then later forgave him and gave him a Bible. Can you take us back to that day and what led you to do something that most people couldn't even imagine?
Well, so me and my partner, Lucas Roethlisberger, which in that instant, that shooting, that was his fourth time being shot. So, he's an absolute legend in the city. So he had just gotten out of SWAT, came to the third. We started riding together. He started teaching me a lot about doing police work and all types of different stuff that I never would have known without him. So there was a car that was wanted for robbery from earlier in the day. They stuck up a SLU professor. So it's this Ford F-150, this truck. It's also a stolen car. Me and Lucas are upset because we didn't get a felony arrest all day. We're upset. Just
Slow day in the office.
Yeah. Just trying to, get somebody like we usually did every day, like most people do, productive police officers in the city do every single day. So we're upset. We're driving back to the station. It's around, I don't know, probably like 10:15. And we're supposed to get off at like right around 10:45. We're both just upset, sitting at Grand and Gravois. And then, here comes this truck right in front of us at the stoplight going eastbound on Gravois. So we kind of both did the look at each other and we're like, is that
the one?
Is that it? So the minute we got behind it, he knew.
Hightailed it.
He just started going.
Was he driving normally before?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. But I mean, I think once I don't know if he saw the side of our car with the decal or something like that, and then just knew like, hey, if they turn, I'm just going to take off, or what, or the headlights, because cops' headlights are very distinctive. I mean, we all know when they're behind us.
Of course.
So he just started taking off, and we're like, well, yeah, that's it. So we at least we got the right car. And earlier in the day, this truck kept taking off from 4th District officers the whole shift and getting away. And nobody could get him. And the end result, thank God nobody did get him. I'd rather have it our way. So Air 4, our helicopter, gets up on it. We didn't even request them. They were just in the area. We got lucky, spotlights down on them. So, I mean, once you have the bird on you, you're not gonna win. It's kind of a wrap there. So he meant to turn. He was originally from North St. Louis, Walnut Park. He had no recollection of what the South Side and the cuts and where to go and how to get away, whatever. So he meant to turn onto the highway from Gravois. Instead, he turned into Soulard. And that was his, last mistake that he made. So, we're going up Soulard streets at about 60 miles an hour.
Shit.
And, people are walking across the street and stuff. And it's getting...
Area. And what time of the day is this?
It's probably like 10:20 p.m.
Okay,
it's dark.
Was it a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
I believe it was a Thursday.
Okay,
so it was
drinking.
Thursday.
Right.
I mean, people are out there drinking.
Yeah,
and
for the people that don't know, Soulard's like kind of a party area where there's lots of bars and restaurants and stuff. If you're listening and you're not from St. Louis, that's a hot place to go and hang out and drink.
Definitely one of the most popular in St. Louis. So it was getting a little sketchy there for a second, but we couldn't let it go because it was a car that was wanted for a Part 1 crime, which is like a assault first, like attempted murder, a murder, a robbery. And we had the helicopter on it. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to, let that go. And then he turns left and he goes into Soulard Market, like onto the concrete, onto the sidewalk. And he crashes into this flower pot, like one of the big city concrete flower pots at about, 40 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour. So I genuinely thought he was injured. So I get out and like a dummy, so everybody could learn from my mistakes, I had my taser out and not my gun. And from him crashing into the flower pot, his side airbag, the ones that are kind of like up in your door, was down. So I couldn't see him. And so he just opens the door and he yells something at me. And to this day, I still can't remember what he yelled at me. And then I heard the cock of the gun. And then all of a sudden it was just like the airbag went up and the gun was in my face. And first round goes off.
So you're like right next to the car when this happened?
Oh yeah. From me to you.
Like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it ambushed us. So he immediately hit me in my abdomen, which is the bullet that's still in my back, is next to my spine. And then as I fired my taser, because it's the only thing I had in my hand, I don't even know if it struck him or hit him, or I'm assuming it didn't. Just the barrage of gunfire started happening between Lucas and him, and I'm running back and I retreat behind the car. I didn't know that I was shot in my arm. So barrage of gunfire still happening. It's getting crazy. I don't know if he's going to come around the car.
His car.
Now I'm behind my car.
Behind your car.
Yeah. So now I'm behind my car, and Lucas is behind my car too. We both retreated back. Our back windshield got shot out. Glass is spilling all over us. There's just nonstop gunfire, and so I retreat behind a tree, and then that's when I finally see him start running. So I can't use my right hand or my right arm, so I had to switch to my left arm. I fire one round, my gun jams. I don't have another arm.
Right.
So I see Lucas chasing him. And I'm not going to leave Lucas by himself. I'm just not going to. I don't know what was wrong with me that day. Just adrenaline or something. So I threw my gun on the ground and I just took off running after him because Lucas was running after him. so stupid now that I think about it. But Lucas, I can see him putting him in handcuffs, take him into custody and stuff like that.
Tackled him to the ground.
He fell. So it definitely, I don't know if it was me that hit him. It had to be Lucas that hit him. We shot him in the ankle. He fell, and then he tried to throw his gun in a dumpster. But it like bounced off the side of the dumpster, and we got it. Didn't work out for him. So I got taken to the hospital by another policeman in my bullet-riddled car. There's blood everywhere. There's just a massacre.
Where in your arm did you get shot?
Right here. So it went there, had a bunch of shrapnel, screwed up my tattoo there. And then in the side of my abdomen, it's a lot bigger. That was the first shot that hit me. And then I had 2 more or 3 more that hit my vest. I can't even remember.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah.
So the one went through the vest, I guess?
No.
Below it.
Right below it, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, sucked.
It went in through your side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it hit my right abdomen and then traveled up. And when I got to Barnes, they told me that it was probably about like an inch or so from my organs. Didn't strike any of my organs and just stopped right before my spine. Wow. So incredible. Yeah. Super lucky.
And I'm guessing there's no, I mean, it's not going to move or it's not going to do anything. They're just going to leave it there.
So as far as right now goes, like Lucas got hit in the rib cage, like right in like his armpit
so
area.
The 5th time he got shot?
Yeah, no kidding. He's like a cat, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
4 more.
So he got hit in his rib cage. The bullet circled around to his spine, but his was able to get taken out, I think, within like a couple days or a week or so. Mine is so deep in there that they're afraid that if they go in and try to get it, it actually cause more damage than what it would be to get it out. So
can you feel it? Like
yeah,
can you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the right bottom side of my back is pretty much like all dead. The nerves in there are kind of all dead. So that was a little weird getting used to after the shooting and everything. So, yeah.
And when was this?
It was February 2nd, 2023.
Damn.
Yeah, crazy.
What was the recovery like? Like what? So you go there that day. They kind of tell you they can't get the or yeah. Like what was coming back from that like, and the process after that day you got shot. Like how long were you in the hospital? Like
so I just did like a day stay at Barnes. They wanted to see how my body was going to react to some medicines and some other stuff. So reacted fine. The worst part about it, honestly, was they had to roll me out in a wheelchair because it's hospital policy. And at that time I was like, at least let me walk out like a man, and like show, in case there is anybody out here, trying to poach or do cameras or something like that and record it. Like, let me walk out of here, please. And they're like, we can't, we got to roll you out. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So I'm not going to argue with them. They just, saved my life. Yeah. So I was like, whatever. So they rolled me out and, I was on a walker. I had to relearn how to walk a little bit with the back. Just the right side being dead is so weird because now the rest of your back has to compensate for the what the bottom right of your back would do, I guess. So did a lot of months of PT, probably did like 8 months of PT. It sucked. I'm not gonna lie, yeah, it really sucked. But I wanted to go back so bad because I wanted to show that, I'm not weak and I can do it again. So
Wow.
yeah.
Damn. So were you during that whole 8 months of recovery? Were you not working or working in like the desks, or how'd that go?
The department actually really took care of me then.
Cool.
So they just let me, after that, they were like, you take your time, we'll keep paying you, and just whenever you feel ready, you can come back.
Cool.
So they didn't, you have to work the desk. They didn't do any of that. They're like, just stay home and
recover
and do your thing, which was nice.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, and we're hearing more and more about police officers getting shot in St. Louis. I mean, and we might not even hear all of it, but like, are there a lot of police officers that you work with or have worked with that have been shot?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. And I think there's a lot more than what people think. And those guys kind of get forgotten about, like Lucas's shooting, his first one where he was shot in the neck, in the back, and in the arm. And then I think he took a couple of the vest, and he actually pinched his own carotid and saved his own life.
Holy shit.
Which is
That's insane.
an incredible story.
Right.
He's just an absolute legend. And, he's not, he's used to this. He's used to it. He's now, I think he's 39 or 40. He's got 3 kids, wife.
Off his own carotid. Save it.
I mean, it's incredible. You just can't train something like that.
No.
You're there, you're not. So, his recovery for that one was really brutal. But I feel like people forgot, and they shouldn't.
Right.
Guys shouldn't forget about those other guys that have suffered or have experienced something like that, because they can be taught something about that, whether it's like for me, having my taser out instead of my gun. Don't be me.
Don't do that.
Have your gun out and don't run right up to the car after it crashes.
Let 'em
Take it.
take a
Give
second.
yourself the gift of timing and distance a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
So-
shit, how to pinch your carotid artery.
Yeah, that's a question for him.
How to have the wherewithal for that. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, through all this and through all that, like everything that you went through, you forgave this guy. You gave him a Bible.
Yep.
What does that say about your personal definition of masculinity?
I think it's more masculine, and I think it's more manly. I think you're setting a better example for your family, especially. So I don't have any children yet. I got one on the way, October 2nd.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
man.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, first one with my wife.
Change your life, bro.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, but I know eventually it's so much easier to, which is, I mean, it's the definition of being a man, right? Because it could be so easy, right? I could just not take care of my kids. I could just, go off and be a bum. I could just not have a job. I could just not do anything. And it's easier. But you're a man, and there's so much, people expect so much more, I think, from you as the man, as the leader of the house and stuff like that, because you have to take care of your little ones. You have to take care of the wife, and they all look to you really tough times to make decisions. It's on you. So, and you got to look out for your family. And it's so much easier to stand there in court and tell this guy who he knows he made a mistake, and it's so much better to teach them to just forgive and let it go, rather than I'm going to hold on to this for the rest of my life and be filled with hate. And it's just going to wear on me every day. What kind of example are you setting for them, rather than, and also if you want to claim to be a Christian or a Catholic, I mean, you should live by those things. So it was a tough road to forgiveness. It absolutely was. I mean, he tried to, he tried to murder me.
Yeah. Shot you 5 or 6
4 times?
Yeah, 4 times. 5
Yeah.
times?
Yeah. And he knows he made a mistake. And while we were sitting there seeing his wife's reaction in court and his cousins and stuff that were in court to me forgiving them, I remember his wife in court after I told him, hey, I forgive you, pray for you every day. I still do every night, and this happened 2 years ago. So, and I still pray for him and his family. I pray for his soul. And I just, there's always time for forgiveness, but I wanted to give that example. My wife did the same thing, which is incredible,
Right.
But that also gets to the question of masculinity, because they're going to make their own decisions, sure, but they want to follow in your footsteps because you have to set a good example for them first. So, and maybe other people will follow you. So, yeah.
Well, has faith always been a big thing for you?
Not usually. After getting shot, it definitely
Yeah.
has upped its game. But like we were
Yeah.
talking about how we went to St. Francis. It's a Catholic school, obviously, in St. Louis. My parents making me go to church as a kid. You know, everybody kind of remembers that on
course.
Sundays. But recently, my sister asked me to be godfather to my niece. That changed a lot. Getting shot changed a lot. And also with my daughter on the way, got me way more involved with just actually learning about the teachings rather than sitting in a classroom and being like, God, I don't want to be here.
Everyone's
You
looking
know?
at the clock. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I guess my next question too is because you're Bosnian,
Mhm.
and Bosnians are Muslims,
Sure.
and where did that change take place? Because you said your parents had you growing up going to Catholic school, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when they moved, are both your parents?
No, just my dad.
Just your dad.
Yeah.
So when he got to America, when he came to America, was that kind of a switch for him to kind of step away from the Muslim religion and into Christianity, or was he?
So my grandpa Nikola, he's from Banja Luka, Bosnia,
Okay.
which is I'm sure back then was a tiny little village over
Mhm.
there, right? So when World War II broke out, somehow he got displaced because he was Christian, and there wasn't
Really?
a lot of Christian Catholic
Yeah.
Bosnians because mostly they're
Muslim.
Islamic, they're Muslim.
Mhm.
So he was pretty much kicked out to
Really?
Croatia, and that's where he ended up. And then he escaped and came here. My dad, you know, he's always been real in tune
Gotcha.
with his faith. But I always tell everybody, you know, I'm probably the only Catholic Bosnian you're ever going to meet
Right,
because
yeah,
all the Bosnians that are my friends, none of them are
Right,
none of them are Catholic or Christian. So
my ex-wife, their family, they're Islam, they're Muslims.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a very, very interesting.
yeah,
Wow, dude. Yeah,
Wow.
dude. Just can't believe that. I mean, shot 4 times.
yeah.
Crazy. Wow. Another thing you put on the questionnaire is you said you over OD'd on the job 2 weeks before the shooting.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
my poor wife has been through a lot.
Oh my gosh.
What do you mean?
And your
OD? Like-
parents.
Yeah, yeah. So 2 weeks before my shooting, stolen car takes off on Winnebago, hits Broadway, tries to take President to the highway. I guess for some reason, I mean, this car was a beater. It was bad. Kia, whenever the Kia boys were real big and stuff like that. But for some reason, these people are like old.
Mm.
Like I'm a little too old to be stealing cars. You know, I think it's time
Yeah.
to grow up a little bit. But these 3 people bail out of the car, and thank God it was just me. And I'm like calling it out, you know, and I'm just waiting for other people to get there. And they all get out and they all just like start walking away from the car. And I pretty much just, you know, pistol paralyze all of them. And thank God none of them ran. They all just got on the ground. And I'm like,
Cool.
okay, well, thanks for
That was
that.
easy. Yeah.
So, you know, we get him into custody and everything's all good. And we get him into the conveyance van. And so I'm searching this car. And I guess while I lit them up and I was trying to pull them over and they were taking off, they were like cracking these, what we call like beans, like pill capsules full of fentanyl. And they were like eating them. And they were like,
To like hide him.
yeah, and they were just like putting them all in the middle console, just damaging them and like dumping all the powder in the middle console. So I finally got up there to search in the car, and I'm searching and everything's fine. And then my head is like over the middle console at this point. So when I open the middle console, just all of the powder like right in my
Dust,
face.
Yeah.
So my first initial thought was like, God, I hope that's not fentanyl.
Mm.
And so I kind of backed up out of the car, and my partner Lucas still at the time. This is 2 weeks before our shooting. And I'm just kind of like standing there, and it's real cold out. It was during the winter, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like looking at him. I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm fine." I'm like, "But I think that's fentanyl. You know, I'm just trying not to freak myself out. You know, because if it's not, then
Yeah.
good." So probably like 5 to 10 minutes go by. This weird like spider web in my nerves, like feeling from the top of my head down to like the whole backside of my body just started like pulsing. And I'm like, well, that's not normal. That's not chills,
Mhm.
from the winter, just pulsing. And I'm like, that's a little weird. That's, so Lucas again is kind of like, hey, are you okay? Because now I'm sitting on the curb. So then breathing starts to get a little bit harder. And then kind of like the curtains are closing on me. And I'm like, no, I don't think so, whatever. And Lucas is like, hey, you're going to hate me, and just Narcan right up my nose.
Oh,
Um, so that was the first dose. And then they got me to like the rear of the car. And this is all from Lucas because I don't remember any of it.
Mm.
yeah.
Got me to like the rear of the car. He just picked me up and he's strong. He's a big dude. And Narcan me again. And then the ambulance came. They Narcan me again. Then they just had to rush me to the hospital, I guess, because I wasn't responding to anything. So Lucas the whole time, this was worse than getting shot, is I was sore from his sternum rubs.
Oh,
Like the
Mm.
sternum rubs to
Mhm.
wake me up. I was sore for probably like a week. It hurt so bad because he was doing it so hard to try to get me to wake up.
Yeah.
So then I woke up at the hospital finally with like 2 industrial sized tubes of Narcan, just like from a nurse right up my nose. And that's when I woke up. So, yeah, it was crazy. The withdrawals from that, because I had withdrawals from just being exposed to it once. I was off work for probably like a week. And the same thing, I was like, man, I'm tough. I want to show these guys I'm tough, because I was still a younger officer trying to make a name for myself, which I still am. And I'm like, I want to show these guys that I'm strong and everything like that. So I come back, week later, I get shot. So my wife had the phone call that,
Yeah, dude.
hey,
Your poor wife, bro.
yeah, hey, this your husband's probably not gonna make it, or he just got shot, or he just overdosed 2 weeks apart. So yeah,
Oh, gosh.
yeah,
Dude. Oh my god.
Man.
How
Yeah.
how prevalent? I mean, I'm sure you come across fentanyl all the time, right?
yeah.
I mean,
And because it doesn't take more than
More than like a pinky nail size. Yeah.
to kill you. You just got a whole fucking face full.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not sure how much exactly.
yeah, you don't know how many
right.
pills they're cracking open in there, but
Yeah.
I guess what do they think? Just to hide it, I guess. I don't
I
know.
got no idea what they were thinking, and it's funny now because I still see one of the kids, and he's not a bad kid. He really ain't. I don't know what he was doing that day, but I still see him on calls and in the street and in Dutchtown and stuff to this day. And we'll sit there and talk to each other, and I'll, hang out with him and ask him how everything's going. And he's not a bad kid, but I'm like, I always wonder, I'm like, what the hell were you doing in that car that day?
Yeah.
Like, this is so not even your style, so yeah.
God, it's
Weird.
it's so tough because I mean, the area, there's parts of St. Louis that are, not in the greatest condition, and it just seems like the people that, being in real estate, I've walked in and seen a lot of different houses in different areas, and like you just realize that not everybody has the same starting point.
Right.
Like that, not everybody grew up in South County and went
Right.
to St. Francis, and
Yep.
had a good, they were born to people that were addicted to drugs or
Oh yeah.
that were stealing cars, and like that's just what they're growing up around, and that's what they know, and it's just like you just think that, man, like, not everybody has there's no equal opportunity there,
Right.
and it's
No,
like,
definitely.
just
It's like a third world country, and it's like 20 minutes from your house.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's a
I
highway
drive through it
away.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I drive
it's
by
it's
it
crazy.
daily almost,
Yeah.
but it's just right there, and obviously, but being a police officer, see a lot more of the the darkness than I do. I just drive through it during the daytime, and that guy, there's a guy asleep on the sidewalk over there. Like, oh, I wonder if he's alive or
Right.
whatever it is. But like you're out there dealing with these people all the time, and you're in these situations, and and you get to know these people. Like, I mean, how often do you come across people that
Frequent
that you
flyers.
frequent flyers? I
Oh
guess you'd
my
say.
God. I mean, it's some guys. I mean, I've locked up 8, 9, 10 times. And just nothing. I don't know what happens to them after that.
That's got to be discouraging, right? I mean,
Yeah, a
it's
little bit.
frustrating.
Yeah, it's
Frustrating,
just
so, like,
frustrating
man, like-
because you feel like you got no help. You
Yeah.
like you did your half end of
Yeah.
the job, and
up to the
where-
judicial system to do the rest.
right. Where's the other half end going? How many times does somebody need to go to jail for a felony? This isn't like we're giving them tickets or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's for drugs and guns and having them
Violence.
both together, violence sometimes, and it's like the same people over and over and over. It's like, what it makes you think, why are we even doing it? What's the point? It just, yeah, it's discouraging for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be frustrating, extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you deal with that adrenaline dump? Like after a life or death situation like that? I mean, I guess with the shot, I mean, when you got shot, I guess both times it wasn't like you were, I mean, I'm sure you experience adrenaline dumps all the time, but
Yeah.
like, I mean, how do you, I mean, are there any other situations that you've been in that have like, really been crazy like that?
Probably not to the extent of my shooting. But definitely like pursuits, where guys are armed, carjackings, stuff like that. I'll be honest with you, like shootings and homicides these days, because I've almost got 5 years on now. It just doesn't really affect me anymore, which is probably a bad thing. But
A
like at
little
that point,
desensitized to it.
yeah, like driving fast in the car with your lights and sirens on, knowing you're going to something that somebody was just shot or killed, and it just doesn't even get you going anymore. It just I'm just being honest, it just doesn't, and a lot of guys experience that, especially with, I mean, I can't even think about, 20 to 30 years on. Those
Yeah.
guys are probably just immune to, everything, which like a personal little, I guess, rule for myself is like, if you start to feel yourself not care anymore, then this is it. You gotta get out, because not everybody's the same, so if one guy gets shot and he may be a frequent flyer who commits crime and does other things, your feelings to him may be a little less than, well, now there's a 14-year-old kid who got shot up the street just in the crossfire. Okay, well, you got to care about both of them,
Yeah.
but naturally you're just going to care about one more than the other. So, yeah.
Well, you're a 4-time Officer of the Month award recipient, 2 Medals of Valor, one Meritorious Medal Award, and you're in the Police and Fire Insurance Hall of Fame, and have 7 captain letters. Out of all those, which one means the most to you?
The one that probably means the most to me is, which I probably think about. I think it was one of my captain's letters. It was this kid. I had like probably 5 months on. I think this was like my first award too, which was like kind of like a cool thing.
Yeah.
Now it's you just don't really care anymore.
Mm.
So these 2 kids were locked in a hot car, and it was probably like, it was one of those really hot days in St. Louis. I mean, like 100 degrees, 102 degrees in a car.
Then you add in the humidity to it. It's even
Right.
hotter.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's horrible. And it was like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Jesus.
And this guy locked them in the car because he went and he had to go into the dispensary. So some lady walking past on Cherokee just called, and she was like, "Hey, I think there's these 2 kids in this hot car, and they're crying. They're like screaming, and there's no one around." So I hightailed it over there real quick, because I mean, kids
Yeah.
are
Right.
kids is like off limits,
Yeah.
Kids are the real victims. So hightailed it over there, and the window was like that much cracked. So the kids are like up like at the window, and I'm trying to tell them to back up so I could break the window, and they're just not getting it. I mean, they're 2 and they're 3.
Yeah.
They're just not getting it, and they're like hitting their hands on the window. So I just like jammed one of my hands into the window and just started to pull up on it. I don't know what was watching over these kids that day, but the whole window just came out in one piece. It's
wow.
something I've never seen before. And I just like set the window on top of the car. I'm like, what the hell was, all right, whatever, it works, right? So,
Yeah.
because I was trying to push down on it and
Yeah.
it wouldn't go down. So I'm like, now I'm going up and down, trying to get it to like
Move.
move.
Yeah.
The whole thing just comes out in one piece.
One
And I'm
sheet.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
One
sure,
sheet.
whatever. So I get both the kids out, get them into AC, and just start like pouring water on them, and dad comes out. He couldn't care less. He's like, he was
What are you
worried
doing
about
with
his
my
window.
kids? Yeah.
Oh, he was worried about his window.
Oh.
Yeah. So I locked him up for a whole bunch of child endangerment type of charges and stuff like that. They gave me an award for that. The rest of them, honestly, I don't really care about. It was when there's real victims like that, yeah, it does make you a little happy to receive something. So, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Insane, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, PTSD has to be very prevalent among the police community. Like, can you talk about your experience with it?
Yeah. So I started doing therapy after my shooting because the department didn't make me. They were just kind of like, it might be a good idea. And, you know, there's just some things you can't share with your family just because it's not their fault. They just wouldn't get it. They wouldn't understand it.
And then I mean, some of that stuff, then now you're passing trauma onto them as well. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
and you
And
don't
she's
want to
gonna be
scare
even-
them.
She's going to
and,
be even
you
more
know,
worried when you leave the house
Right.
in the
Right.
morning.
Exactly,
Like,
you
she's
know,
already
and-
probably worried enough after ODing and getting shot in the same week.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. You know, and like what you guys said, you know, you don't want to at some point, you know, you don't want to scare them all the time and freak them out because it's not every single day that these intense moments where your life's in danger is happening. It happens often, but not to that extent. So I started doing therapy, and at first, for like masculinity, is I thought therapy because my dad growing up was like, still is just like
Tough guy, dude. Your dad's
stoic.
a
Yeah, you know, like you
Yeah,
know my
dude, I
dad, like he
remember
just
how like jacked he looked walking down the like he looks jacked in a button up, you know, like
Right.
walking down the
Yeah.
aisle, you know.
yeah, you know, and like he was my example of how to become a man, you know, and he's my
Sure.
hero. He's an amazing person, you know, and
wasn't he hit by a car?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and he
that's what I
survived that, and same thing, forgave the kid that did it. So that's kind of where the example came from.
Yeah.
So I had him who's just like stoic and doesn't talk, and you know, I've never seen my dad cry. He just doesn't do it. So I started doing therapy, and I remember going in there the first time, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to be here. This is weak. I should
Rolling
just,
your eyes.
yeah,
Oh,
you know, this is
stupid.
stupid, you know, whatever. And I went back like 9 or 10 more times because it was so beneficial. My therapist was just awesome, you know. So just ask the right questions, type of thing, and did like the EDMR type of training and stuff, and
What's that?
it's like the type that I did. There's like a bunch of different types of EDMR training. It's for PTSD, but I did like the ones with like the magnets in my hands and like vibrations and stuff like that. And I guess it's just to like test kind of where you're at. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I just knew after that my therapist pretty much told me, you know, like, hey, it's right now it's pretty bad, and you know, it's not going to get better. Your PTSD just gets worse, but there's ways to deal with it, you know, to make it go away. So
What are
Yeah.
some of those ways?
so like we do just like the old school breathing exercises is one of them. A clapping exercise is another one. Working out is
Gotta help, right?
huge for it. Because after my shooting, I gained 50 pounds because of just the depression
Sedentary
and just like
yeah.
you're
Damn.
sitting there doing nothing and you're upset because you're like, well, how could I let this happen to me? You know, and then you
Mhm.
see your wife upset and stuff. So, now I'm back on course to get it back down. Right now I'm at like 239, 238. So it's coming back down slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And I was at
before?
252.
Okay.
So it's coming back down. It feels I already feel better,
Sure.
you know, just being that little bit of weight down. The goal's like 200 even, but
Yeah.
working out is a huge benefit, you know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. You know, you're showing me the sauna earlier. Dude, sitting in that sauna is
My
like
favorite, man.
honestly, just like with headphones on or just
Yeah.
in silence at the gym is like one of the best things ever for PTSD. I just sit there and I don't think about anything but, oh my God, it's so hot in here.
Yeah,
So-
100%. Yeah, dude. Oh man, I recently, so the club fitness that I was going to pretty regularly close to my house in Arnold with that big tornado got shut down. So now I've been driving to the Fenton one, and the sauna in that one has like 2 of the heaters, and I swear I was talking to this other guy in there. I'm like, this one's got because he used to work out at the same one I did, and then we both went over there when the other one shut down. And I was like, this one's got to be like 20 or 30 degrees hotter than the other one. Because like the other one, I could sit in there and about 20 minutes was tough, but I could endure it. This
Right.
one I struggle to get 15 because it's like it's
So
gotta
hot
be
in
like
there.
180, 190 or something in there, and I'm like by 10 minutes in I'm already squirming,
Right.
like ready to get out, and the other one I could do 20 and be okay, but this one I'm like barely can get to 15,
Right.
and just that sauna is so beneficial, man. I love it. I've been saying I'm gonna get one put in my house for for a while now, but I'm gonna do it here soon. I would love to be able to just make it like a daily thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing it every single day, like no matter what.
So
Like
beneficial.
Contrast therapy,
Yeah.
or cold plunge
Yeah.
with the sauna.
Oh yeah.
I
No.
can't wait till we get that all set up here.
Yeah.
I'll start doing that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just go
Awesome.
and jump in the pool right now at the apartment because it's freezing.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's cold.
I'm sure, man. Damn, dude. So,
So
what's your? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, after you've experienced the worst in humanity. How do you keep your faith in people?
I guess just that humanity tends to surprise you when you least expect it. Because you could go to the worst thing ever, which is like a child death, right? And then, you'll go to your next call, you'll take a break, and then you're expected to go to another call, and then the rest of your shift. So then you go to another one, and it's just like simply some homeless guy walking past and asking someone for a cigarette, and they're like, oh, sure, man. Then they'll sit there and they'll have a 5-minute discussion, and I'll be like, all right, see you later. Those little interactions like that are like, there's still some good people out there that, you just got to keep reminding yourself that not everybody is bad, which I think a lot of cops suffer from, because there's guys out there that I've seen way worse and have dealt with way worse than I ever will. And they still have a good heart, and they know that there's good people out there. So, people just have bad days. They don't call the police because they're having a good day.
Right.
So you gotta remind yourself of that. So yeah.
Maybe they should make a day. We're like, hey, just call the police and we're gonna have a good day today. Share some good news with
Yeah.
them, you guys are putting your life on the line every single day, and especially here in St. Louis, we're always one of the most dangerous cities in America. Like, I don't know, you guys don't get the credit that you guys deserve, and it's unfortunate.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that way for a lot of other people too, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, especially the Metro Department.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like St. Louis County is probably a pretty cush job.
Sure.
Speeding tickets. But yeah, I mean, you guys are seeing like you said, the worst of the worst. So
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, this is kind of there's always kind of a little friendly competition between, but
I'm sure.
I mean, and there's some guys at other departments that are just, steel. They're amazing policemen, and then never will take anything away from that. But I'll always stick by, nobody can do what city cops do. They just can't.
Yeah.
They just can't. It's not even close. Like guys that even work, out here in Fenton, like last night I was telling you about a shooting that we had. It's like, there's no way that a guy out here that has never experienced that before, let's say, the school shooting at CVPA in the city, where it's the fastest record time that a school shooting threat has been eliminated. That was done by city policemen. I'm sorry, I don't think that could happen anywhere else, because our guys are just as crazy as they are.
Yeah.
So, but we're just the good guys.
Right.
So, I've always felt that way about us. Very, very prideful to be where I'm at. So,
and do you think this is an apartment that you're going to want to be in for the long haul?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I actually, after my shooting, I made a promise to my wife that I would try another police department. So I went somewhere else out in the West County area, and not a bad police department. It just wasn't. It was just too slow. It just wasn't for me. Some of the guys out there are real solid though, and TFOs with U.S. Marshals and stuff like that. They do some real good work, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't for me. I need something's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. I need it. I'm used to it. I'm used to the high speed and the doing stuff all the time. So yeah.
Action.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, Pat kind of touched on it, but you're a cop in a time where the badge can get a lot of hate. How do you mentally stay committed to serving?
I guess just kind of the same thing as before. Reminding yourself that there's people out there, that there's good people, but there's also people that support you. I think the ones that support us are a lot quieter than the ones that don't, and I wish that the people that didn't support us and they're so vocal about it would just tell us why. Because don't get me wrong, some guys in the news and stuff, there is some bad stuff that other cops do, and you'll never see good cops agree with what they do.
Sure.
But there's there's tons of more great cops than there is bad cops.
Just
you know,
like
without
anything.
a doubt.
Just like anything,
Right,
man.
with doctors and with
Yeah.
everything else, you know.
There's bad teachers, there's bad doctors,
Absolutely.
there's bad whatever. It's
Yeah.
just like the bad cops out there. You know, whenever they do something bad, everybody knows about it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Unless it's a teacher that was hooking up with their students or something. Like
Sure.
you don't hear about those bad teachers. But
Right.
there's teachers that just suck at teaching.
Right.
And you never hear anything about them.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever it is. Or,
Yep.
There's bad doctor, it's like you don't really hear about those guys. They
Right.
They don't really care. They're just trying to get the patients in and out as fast as possible.
Sure.
But with the cops, you hear about it. It's in the news whenever, a cop fucks
Right
up or
away.
does something horrible
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well,
you
like
know?
with social media today, I mean, it's like it's almost, and you could probably say more to this, but I mean, you feel like anytime you go with your sirens on, you're pulling up. As soon as you pull up, there's just cameras everywhere at you, cell phones and shit pointed at you.
Yeah, so definitely with some things, people are just like prepared,
Mm.
you know. And I'm probably like one of the worst cops to do it too, just because I just couldn't care less, because we have a camera on our chest too.
Right, yeah.
So and
Yeah,
it's
'cause
actually
as soon as you flip the siren, or as soon as when is that?
yeah. So like for the in-car camera, at least for our department, it's right when you hit the lights, the camera's on.
shown. Okay.
So and then your siren doesn't activate without those lights. So you got to hit the lights, they activate. And then whenever you get to like a certain area, it's like a geo mapping type of software. I have no idea. But once you get to like near the area of that call that you've been dispatched to, your camera will just kick on. So they've been more beneficial actually to us with complaints and stuff like that, where people will just bold-faced lie and will be like, hey, well, he did this. Then they'll look at our camera and they're like, well, that couldn't be any more untrue. That's incredible. Wow. Okay. So it's actually been more
Liar.
beneficial. Yeah. You liar. Incredible. Yeah. So
What, have you seen your body cam footage from the day you were shot?
I watched it one time.
How-
Yeah. One time.
How wild was
Yeah.
that?
It was
Kinda
like,
you reliving it.
yeah. I mean, I'd never thought that stuff was real, like rewatching something, like guys will tell me about it. And, I remember my crazy partner, Lucas, was like, hey, do you want to, watch the footage? And I'm like, I don't know if I really, want to do that. And it was after our, FIU interview. We already interviewed and everything. And they're like, well, Body Camera is offering for us to watch it. I'm going to watch it. I was like, well, of course you are, because you're a psychopath. So, of course you are. So I was like, it would eat at me if I didn't, one of those types of things. So I was like, sure, I'll go watch it. So I watched it, and it literally was like, I was there again, heart racing, my adrenaline sitting in the chair watching it was, I mean, like I was there. And I remember not calming down until like I got home. Like driving the whole drive home, I was like speeding, didn't realize it, would look down. I'm going like 90 on the highway, and I'm like, dude, what is going on with me right now? I got to chill out. So started kind of doing the breathing stuff and like tactful breathing, get your heart rate to slow down. I'm like, what the hell is going on with me? Like what? So
Dude, that's terrifying.
and then the news releases it. Yeah, the news released it not too long ago. And
Your body cam footage?
mhm.
Really?
All of mine and Lucas's, yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to look.
So yeah. No, it's insane. Now I'm okay with it. Years
Right.
later, I'm like, I could watch it and it doesn't do anything to me.
Why
so.
did they just release it so recently?
I have no idea, because
It's weird.
the guy got sentenced probably, it would have had to be 3 or 4 months before the footage got released, and it was 2 years prior to that, and they never got the footage. I don't know if it was just like an ongoing case type thing, but I know some departments just release footage and they're like, here it is,
Yeah.
and it didn't really matter because he shot us first. So,
Right.
Who cares? Let him see the footage. So there's no speculation about what happened. They just kept it close to their chest and didn't release it. And then, I guess they sunshine law requested it later on, and randomly one night, my parents and all these other people are watching the news, and I get a phone call from my sergeant. And she's awesome. She was my sergeant at the time I got shot too. She's like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? She was like, I'm really sorry. They released your footage on the news. I was like, what footage? And she was like, you're shooting. I'm like, that was 2 years ago. She was like, well, I'm just really sorry, just tell your family not to watch it and stuff, because you got to think about them, because they don't want to watch that.
Yeah, see your mom
screaming,
your
I'm
mom.
hit.
Yeah.
That's scary. So, and nobody told us about it. Nobody said to us that it was going to get released. Nobody said a word to us. So we both were kind of taken off guard by it.
Yeah, your mom, your wife,
right.
Just everybody.
Right. So I had to make a bunch of phone calls and text messages out to people that was like, hey, the news released my body cam footage. Please don't watch it. Watch it if you want, I guess, but I wouldn't advise it, So, by that time it was already on, and some of my family members have already seen it, so they're all upset, and something they'll never forget about. So, yeah.
It's crazy, man. And you're so young too. Like,
just turned 27.
It's crazy.
So,
Wow. That's
Damn, dude.
it's a lot to experience before turning 30.
Yeah, dude.
Man. Well, going through all that, like, how do you reconcile vulnerability? So, like, mental health struggles or fears, with your responsibility to still continue to lead and protect people.
I just, I tell everybody the same thing, is like, your mental health is extremely important. And I think, it's June too. So June is actually men's mental health month.
Yeah.
So, mental health, I think, is even more important, or just right there. I mean, with physical health, you got to keep in the same thing. And I think when like guys like our dads were growing up, it probably,
wasn't a thing.
Yeah. It just didn't talk about it.
Mental health month, and
and I think we can all agree too, like, there's just certain things that you just don't talk about, as men, you just don't,
right.
Whatever. So, but certain things, you should definitely share with other people and be vulnerable, but not too vulnerable to other people, because,
Do you think that's more of a mischaracterization by society or by other men?
I think society.
Yeah.
Yeah. Society, I think, is nowadays even more brutal towards men and masculinity. And they say that it's toxic, and they say that it's all these things that it's not, when some, like, I know, like, my wife likes the fact that I'm strong and that I'm there for her, and that I'm every step of the way, no matter what, I'm there to protect her. And, sometimes I am a little aggressive with passions and stuff like that I have to protect her and to protect my family. I can't understand. I can't wrap my head around how that's not a good thing.
Right.
Because wouldn't you want somebody that, remember growing up with our dads, with how tough my dad was, and how many times that my friends would tell me, dude, your dad is terrifying. And, in the back of my head, though, it was like, and still to this day, some of my best buddies are like, dude, your dad is terrifying. Like, he's terrifying. That still, like, brings me back to being a little kid. And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Right.
Because I know no one's going to mess with him. And if no one else is messing with him, no one's going to mess with me growing up, because I'm his son.
100%.
So, I think about it like one of those things. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a topic that we discuss a lot on this show. I mean, like, manhood and fatherhood, those are the big things that we discuss. And, and shit, we had to re-record it, but we did a whole episode on toxic masculinity.
Got a little out of hand.
Yeah. There was
we recorded it, and then Pat and I, like, later that day, I'm like, hey, man, I don't know about that one. I think we could get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, Murph was also here, and our producer, and he's very vocal about a lot of things, and
sure,
we always were like, we're gonna keep this positive, like, we want to keep this show positive.
Yeah.
We want to bring out the positivity of manhood, and so kind of debunking the toxic masculinity conversation, and basically rolling through, like, we just, like, hey, Google, what is toxic masculinity? It just gave us all these traits, and we're reading, and we're like, this is a fucking insane that this is all toxic.
I have all these.
No, I'm like, I am the most, according to this list, I am the most toxic human being that you're ever going to meet.
Right.
And so Murph threw something out at us, kind of caught us really off guard. I feel like we handled it pretty well.
Right.
But we're like, we're just going to re-record this episode.
Right. No, I mean,
scrap that one. Good thing it's not live.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's like when
that
it comes
footage
to,
has been deleted and will never surface.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's all these things that I don't know. It's just it's weak people trying to bring down strong people.
That's right.
And I just was reading a quote the other day, and it was like, if you want to upset a strong man, tell him a lie, and if you want to upset a weak man, tell him the truth. And I think that's
amazing.
exactly what this whole toxic
Absolutely.
masculinity thing is like, you know what? If you want to call me those things and say that's toxic, guess what? That's going to upset me because that's a fucking lie.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so it's just one of those things that just, it's annoying because like, I feel like we all do a pretty good job of carrying ourselves to like core values and
Of course.
and the things that I want, how I want my kids to be raised and things like that, to be
Right.
good people. And do I have my faults? Absolutely. But so does everyone.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are going to sit here and say some of the things that I feel are my strengths are toxic, I'm like, fuck you.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, it's why. Tell me one. Why would somebody not want a strong? Ask any kid. How much do you like your dad? What about your dad? Whatever. I remember when I was a kid, immediately I would be like, he's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physically, he's just strong. Whatever. That's the first thing I would say. But nowadays, it's, I've seen even horrible things like the gym is toxic.
Yeah.
Man, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's healthy. Like,
Yeah, it's like how we're meant to move our bodies. We're not meant to sit in a chair and watch TV all
exactly.
day or
I
sit
mean,
at a
where did that
desk and-
come from? Like,
I don't know. I think it's weak people being more vocal than strong people.
exactly.
I think that's
Exactly.
probably what it is.
Exactly.
That's how they get their rocks off. Like we're doing something with our lives and we're making ourselves better human beings, and they're just not.
Right.
And
Yeah, or they're trying to justify the lives and the decisions that they're making,
Yeah.
and trying to like make it seem like it's okay to be a overweight,
lazy piece of shit.
lazy
yeah.
piece of shit.
Well, that's why I
Not
started
com-
working
not-
out again after getting shot because I gained all the weight and I was like, I feel like,
Well-
a fat piece of shit. I'm sorry, but like
yeah.
I did. Like I felt that way. I'm like, dude, I got to get back to it because I can't set this example for
Right,
my daughter on the way. Like, oh,
Yeah.
dad's fat.
right.
Well, and that's
Screw that,
the
man.
other portion of that you mentioned was like for the PTSD, like the mental aspect of it.
Yep.
Like I think the physical aspect that comes from working out is just the byproduct of it, but the best part about it is like how for me personally, how much better I feel mentally.
Yep.
After I've just completed a hard workout.
Yep.
I can literally conquer anything after that.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like, I don't know. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite things to like if I need a boost or if I'm in a funk, the first thing I'm going to do is go work out,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
do something fucking hard.
Well, I just had a buddy that beat alcoholism. He was a real bad
That's awesome.
alcoholic. How he beat it was fitness. He went to sober treatment and stuff like that. And then right away he was, I want to say he lost 60 pounds. I just saw him this past week at a graduation party. I haven't seen him since he got sober.
That's awesome.
He looks incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
I think that's a real common thing with addicts that they kind of basically replace one addiction with another.
Sure.
Obviously, the working out one, it's a much healthier
Yeah.
addiction.
Well, it's interesting because he told me himself at this party, he's like, Sean, I'm not joking. I get the same high or the same rush that I would get drunk that I do after a hard workout. I really do. He was like, I'm like on cloud 9. I don't even think about it. So, which
That's
is just
Yeah.
same thing that we were talking about, It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, what's your now that you're back in the gym, what's your training like? Do you like, are you running? Do you lift? Like, what's training like?
CrossFit,
No,
powerlifting.
I wish I could do, CrossFit or one of those crazy ones, but
Is it hard with the back.
yeah,
Yeah.
but again, I'd like to beat the excuse and just go see,
Yeah.
you don't know until you do it.
We
Right.
go to a great
Yeah.
CrossFit gym
Yeah.
if you ever want to try.
Yeah.
it. Let us know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I got to come try it, man.
Yeah, it's
Usually, what is it? It's almost once a month, right? Bring a friend.
yeah, they do bring a friend day all the time. So
Yeah.
next time,
Okay.
let you know.
Yeah,
We'll
definitely.
work out in.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun. We love it there. It's cool because it's for years I was just kind of doing like a like a bodybuilding type split, push pull legs kind
Sure.
of thing, and then about 3 years ago I got into CrossFit just kind of to supplement jujitsu to kind of just make my cardio better on the mat, and then I really got into like the more of the cardio aspect of it with all the because it's cool because it's every day you're doing something like different.
Yeah.
It's not like it's hard to get bored of CrossFit because you'll be like one day you're doing burpee box jump overs and going to pick up a barbell, do a bunch of deadlifts, and
Right.
then going on a run, and then coming back and doing it all again, or and then the
Right.
next day you might be climbing a rope and and swinging from a pull-up bar or
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's like it's functional, especially like being a police officer. You don't know what you're going to be encountering,
Exactly.
and having a good level of cardio is, I would
Yeah.
imagine, good when you're chasing people down. And
Yeah.
I think
But
it could be,
but still
beneficial
has
for-
the strength aspect.
Oh, yeah, I
because
mean, like-
Oh, yeah.
you have the strength portion, which they break it down into Olympic lifts, your standard lifts, your gymnastics lifts, things like that. And then you have your workout of the day, and so it's a great combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yesterday was our been doing this back squat cycle for a while, and for like the last 12 weeks or something, and then yesterday was like a 1 rep max day. So like we all did that, and then right after that went into like a fucking brutal workout.
Yeah.
I'm still sore.
I was gonna say, how'd you feel after though?
Oh, I'm hurting today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a,
Shit,
it was a
I'm
fun
still
one.
feeling the Murph from last week.
Oh God, you did the Murph?
Minus the weight vest. I've got the weight.
It's still
built in.
brutal.
Weight built on already, so I was like, no weight vest for me.
I do it. I do it with the best.
Yeah. He's more of a badass than I am.
Dude, it's a game changer, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was-
definitely.
I've
Yeah.
done it quite a few times now. It's a good one.
Or just like, you want to be on my level? Put on a 100-pound weight vest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen Dan Bailey is a first form athlete guy? He's done 100-pound Murph.
Really?
That's incredible.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
Like, how do you even
I just-
accomplish that?
Bro, it took him like, I mean, he was like in the CrossFit game, so he's like a freak.
Sure.
And I think it took him like an hour and a half, which
Still,
Still,
that's
that's
fast.
yeah, for that, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they say if you can do it sub, like a normal Murph with a 20-pound vest, if you can do it sub 50, like that's kind of the goal,
Sure.
is to get it, under an hour. And then if you really, want to push it under 50 minutes. But I think he did it in like an hour and a half, but like 100 pounds is fucking, he had like basically, I think he had his normal 20-pound weight vest on, and then like a backpack with like an additional 80, like 3 25-pound plates or something like that, or whatever it was. And yeah, it's wild watching the video, just like him like doing the run, just with all this fucking weight on. Ugh.
Well, good for him because I'm not doing this.
No,
No.
me either. I can't imagine doing the pull-ups. Yeah,
No.
For me, body
Yeah.
weight was perfect. It was all I needed.
Yeah.
all I needed.
Yeah, but lots of cardio.
Yeah.
Because absolutely, you are 100% correct with the strength. You need strength, obviously, and there's some guys on the police department that are just ripped out of their minds. I would never want to get into a fight with. I don't know how fast they are, but
Matt Green.
Yeah, we've had Matt
Do you know
Green
Matt
on.
Green?
I know of Matt Green. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him.
We had him on the
Um,
podcast.
Yeah.
Nutcase.
I've been,
I mean, what a
Specimen.
specimen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been underneath him a handful of times. I've
Yeah.
done jiu-jitsu with him before, and yeah, he's a freak.
Well, isn't he like, at least from what I heard, isn't he like some type of champion or something
world
like
champ.
that?
Yeah, he won. He double golded at Worlds at brown belt like 2 years ago.
So I don't know the ranks for like jujitsu. Is brown belt pretty?
It's the second
Is that-
highest.
winning worlds.
It's the
at-
second highest.
Yeah, well,
Black
winning
belt is the highest.
Okay.
Brown's just
winning
below that.
worlds, winning worlds at any belt level
Yeah.
is fucking insane. Like, even if you told me you're a blue belt world champion, I would say like that's fucking impressive. Like you're a freak, But like to win it at brown belt so he won it not only in his weight class. So in jiu-jitsu, there's weight classes like all the other sports, but then in jiu-jitsu there's what's called the open class. So it's like no weight limit. So like you could see a 125-pound guy paired up against a 250-pound guy. So it's like
Wow.
So after and if you place top 3 in I think it's top 3 in your weight division, then you can go and do the open class. And
Sure.
So at Worlds, toughest tournament of the year, it's happens once a year. He not only won his weight class, he then went in the open class and won that as well. Yeah. And so then, shortly after that, he got his black belt, and we had him in here a while ago. I think he's planning on doing Worlds again. But yeah, freak.
That's
Freak
incredible.
athlete. I mean,
Yeah.
His Instagram will pop up sometimes and like
Dude.
my suggested, and like I feel a little weird to try to follow him because I haven't like met him,
Yeah.
Yet. Just crossing paths at
he's
the
been posting
department.
some funny ones.
He's done some
I
funny
mean,
ones.
dude, his workout videos on Instagram
Bro.
alone, like
Mm.
you are insane, dude.
Yeah, he
Like,
programmed.
good for him.
The workout. He programmed when I was getting ready for a big match. I had him program me a workout, or like a 8-week workout, like to lead up to it. And I mean, it was probably the best shape I've ever been in, but it was like brutal. Like,
Yeah.
every single workout was just like so fucking hard.
I believe it.
Like you're just like it was. You had to like mentally prepare to go to the gym that day. 'Cause it was like,
that's the thing though.
God.
Like his stuff is not built for everybody.
Right.
Like it's like I'm not going to go to Matt and be like, hey, I need you to program me a workout. Okay. I just don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I mean, who was it we were talking to at the gym?
Mike.
Oh yeah, Big Mike. Who's what is he? He's
What's
he's
Mike's? You might know him. I don't know Mike's last name. To be honest with you.
He's in
He's
the
in
second.
the
He's in the second precinct. He was with Colin, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I know he's like one of the higher ranking guys.
Oh, Mueller?
I think so.
Is it Mike Mueller?
Big guy.
Oh, he's a
Real-
stud.
yeah,
Yeah.
Real big.
Yeah,
He's
real
former football player, all that. Like
He coached football at St. Mary's. He's
huge.
I'm trying to
know he's
think.
done a lot of. I mean,
He's a
done-
policeman?
Yeah, he's done I don't remember all the things. We've wanted him to come on here. I
Yeah.
tried to get him on here, but he
We had a little mini
like
podcast
I was
without
like,
being
man,
without the cameras.
I
He's
was
like,
like,
I don't want any of
"God,
this. He's like, I don't want to be on social media. But like, he's what in his 50s?
yeah, but he's he's in there training
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu with us all the time, and he's got some stories, man. Yeah, he's a freak.
Oh yeah, but he was kind of going at the same thing. He's like, Matt is a bull in a china shop. Like sometimes you don't need to be a bull in the china shop. He's like, work smarter, not harder.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that old school way of thinking, man. They got the wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, younger guys, we don't. So,
Yeah, just run in, guns
Yeah,
blazing, baby.
Eventually, you will.
Yeah. Hopefully. Sometimes. Hopefully.
Man, but so your wife is pregnant. You're expecting.
Mhm.
What are some feelings and emotions you have getting into that?
I guess asking for advice from you guys because you guys are dads. So, because like ask my dad for advice. He's like, just do it. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't help me at all.
It's not bad advice.
No. He's
it's
like,
just like there's like we've talked about it before, but like I just feel like there's no getting ready. Like people say, like, oh, are you ready to have a kid? I'm sure you've heard that.
There's
Oh, yeah.
nothing that prepares you to
Like,
be a parent.
You can read
Right.
all the books, you can do all the things, but like until they're here and like you're you see them and you're holding them, like that's when it's really real.
sure.
And I don't think there's anything that you can do to prepare. I
Yeah.
really don't. I mean, until you get there and then you realize what it's really like. And I mean the biggest piece of advice or thing I guess I could give tell you is that that first the first few months, like you're gonna feel kind of helpless because there's not much you as the dad can do. My thing was like I'm just gonna change as many diapers as I can.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'll wipe I'll wipe ass all day.
Right.
Like I'm gonna change the diapers because like they especially after delivering a baby, like that's insane. What a woman's body's capable of, and then you see that and experience that. You're just like I want to help too. What can I
Right.
do? Like
Right.
how can
Right.
I suffer to
Right.
to make me feel like I'm doing something?
Sure.
So as the man, you feel kind of helpless. Like
Yeah.
so if
Yeah.
you feel that, don't know that just know that
Check.
we all feel that too.
Yeah.
Check. Just it's a huge ego check because like as a man you want to do this, you want to like be hands on, you want to be that provider, you want to do all that, but literally there's nothing like you said, changing diapers, giving baths. That's about the gist of it. But be prepared that your wife is going to have such a connection immediately with this little kid. You will too, but it's not the same as the mother.
Sure.
I've experienced this with both my boys. She wouldn't let me do anything. She wanted to do all of it. And I'm like, I'm here to help. But it was just a letting go thing that she just couldn't.
Sure.
Like she had to. And just be okay with that.
Okay.
Because you're going to feel like you said, you're going to feel helpless. But just know, like, there will come a time where it's just like you finally get to step in. And that's when you get that opportunity, be there for it.
Okay.
Because that's like my biggest mistake. I got divorced, and Zach can speak to this between the relationship that he has with his first versus second. But, you may not think like, oh, they're little, they're not going to, like, my relationship with I have a better relationship with my second born than my first, even though they're 15 months apart. But like I was more present and around when my youngest was born than I was my oldest. I was busy working, all that. Like I was like, I have to work hard now. I've got a kid to support this. And then I kind of had that same attitude like, hey, I've got 2 now that I've got to support. But at the same time, like, I was able to kind of step back a little bit from my business, and because it had gotten to a point, even in that 15 months time frame, that I could take time back, step back, spend more time with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like my oldest is 100% a mama's boy, and my youngest is a mama's boy, but I'm closer with him than I am my oldest,
Sure.
and I think Zach can speak to that as well.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. Like my, you know, my, 'cause I remember thinking like, oh, you know, he's their baby. You're not
Yeah.
gonna remember, you know, like, you know, when he starts remembering stuff, that's when I'm gonna jump in and be the cool dad, you know. But it was like, I realized that I was missing a lot because I was gone working a lot, you know, out trying to build my business and everything. And I didn't realize that until we had the second one. And I remember this was, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, but like I remember saying, you know, to my wife pretty recently, I was like, man, I feel like I just have like feel so much closer with our second than I did with our first because, you know, I don't know, I just feel like he likes me more than, you know, Calvin ever did. And she's like, well, Zach, you've been around a lot more. And, you know, and I think that's honestly, it's been because of this podcast, to be honest, because it's like, I feel like I have to, you know, put my money where my mouth is. You know, we're in here, we're talking about being dads and,
Right.
you know, how to be a good dad all the time. And
Yep.
like, okay, like I have to, you know, put my money where my mouth is and live this. If I'm going to sit here and tell people on the internet or, you know, tell people my experience, like I better be truthful about that. And so I'm going to live that and do it in real life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's so, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you may not think that they know,
they remember, but
that
they do.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And it just, I mean, and as they get older, like especially now, he's at that age where his son's 3 now, and then mine are 5 and 6. So it's and it just gets harder and harder at each, like the baby stage. That's easy.
Yeah, you think that's crazy until you have the second one, and then you're like, oh my god, the baby stage is so easy. He just sits there. He like you can put him in the thing, and he doesn't move. He can't crawl out of there. He can't talk back to you and tell you no.
But,
you know,
I mean, it is sleepless nights, so that makes
that's
it
the hard part.
That's the hard part. Sleep is limited, but yeah, the baby, once they get mobile, that's when things change, and you've got a while before that happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
my youngest he'll be 1 on Friday, so he'll be
Jesus.
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it goes. That's not it. You hear people say it goes by fast, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, how fast can it go by? It goes by fucking fast. Oh
yeah, dude. Yeah, and so he'll be walking here pretty soon. I mean, he just like any chance he can touch a wall or grab something, he stands up. He just every once in a while he'll let go and balance for a second and fall on his butt. But like it's got to be a matter of time. But I mean, you set him on the ground, he just fast crawler, man.
Right.
He just takes off, like he just getting into everything. And we've been doing construction at our house for like the last month, so it's been trying to keep him out of that has been a pain in the ass.
right.
And keep my 3-year-old out of it too. That's actually been even worse. He just wants to go in and touch everything, and you're like, dude, no. There's like, you know, whatever.
And on the flip side of that, keep building your relationship with your wife.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Okay.
You know, Pat can speak to that more than anybody, obviously. You know,
Yeah. No, I mean, there was a lot of, I mean, without diving too much into that, like the whole marriage thing, but that was one thing that we didn't do. We never continued to build our relationship from that, and ultimately was why things happened the way they did happen, was because we just never continued to build a relationship. Things happened very quickly for us in terms of getting pregnant, and then pregnant again. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 beautiful surprises that, you know, were definitely things we weren't expecting, but at the same time, like, we got so focused on raising these kids and keeping these tiny humans alive that we forgot about each other. And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, but make sure you're making time to continue to build that relationship with your wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate the advice.
Well,
Definitely.
yeah. So real quick, your daughter's going to see this here down the road. What's one message you want to leave her with?
Oh God. Dad's terrified, but he loves you. No, I mean, always be there for her. Always. You know, I'll always be your best friend, but not too much. I'll still be your dad. So,
yeah.
You know, but I'll always be there for her, for sure. I'm very excited.
That's awesome.
I think the one thing that's scary is like with boys, it's like you kind of already have an idea because you're a man,
Yeah.
right? So you're like, I know the things I enjoyed doing growing up and how my dad was with me. So it should be fairly relative to how I grew up. So I kind of have an idea. With a girl, I'm kind of like, well, I have two nieces now, and one of them who's, you know, hilarious. My sister, my Katie's daughter. And it's like with her, our bond with each other is amazing. You know, loves our Uncle Sean. And it's like, try to compare it to that because I'm like, well, every time I see her, you know, and she loves me, we hang out, we do whatever. I'm like, what if I just do it like that? But I'm like, but it's got to be different because she's yours, you know?
It'll
So
be different.
how do I raise a girl? Like, what do I do about the, like, I'm thinking so far ahead, you know? And it's like, girls' bodies are different. Girls experience different things. Girls, you know, with guy stuff. I'm just, everything's for me is going to be like, dude, talk to your mom. I got no idea. I have no idea. If you need me to beat somebody up, let me know. But that's about all I can do.
Well, that's where you continue to build that relationship with your wife and having those conversations. Just tell her like, hey, how like, what is this? How do I do this?
Right.
You know, and like for a woman, you're a woman. What is it that you would have wanted? How can I be a good father to our daughter? Again, that's the whole building and continuing to build that relationship.
Right.
It's not just dates and things like that, but it's like having those deep conversations.
Yeah,
that you guys she can help answer those questions.
Okay.
No, even talk to your sister or your mom.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
Yeah,
you know that.
Yeah,
talk to all.
You got lots of good people to talk to.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, Sean, this has been great having you in here, man. We've really enjoyed this conversation. Your story's incredible. I'm happy you're out there, you know, protecting our city.
Thank you.
And you know, we always end the show the same way. So before we get you out of here,
we play a little game called the Tombstone Game.
Okay.
Here lies Sean. What do you want it to say on your tombstone?
Oh God. I've never thought about it before.
All right,
take a second.
Take your time.
Gosh, I got no idea. I don't know. Date of birth, date of death, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of anything, you know?
For example, mine would be a loyal friend, father, husband that was there and cared for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine would probably be loyal too. Yeah, loyal father, pending father, brother, son, and I would probably just say good friend. You know, I mean, always there for the people that care about you. You know, leaving a legacy. I think something's more important behind the tombstone game. You know,
Right.
what's really there. So, even the guy that tried to kill me, you know, or the guy that tried to kill my dad, you know, it's kind of like you want to make them think, you know, they already know they made a mistake, but it's like, wow, I cannot believe that type of forgiveness or that type of human is even capable. How is this even real? So, yeah, no, it's a good game. I like that.
Right.
I like that. It's a mind. It's
Yeah,
a mind
makes
reader.
Yeah, we like to catch you off guard with that one.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button for us yet, please do so. That would help us out a ton. It really helps us grow. Pat and I have a goal this year to hit 500 subscribers before the end of the year. So help us hit that goal. If you got anything out of the show, share it with a friend. That would mean a ton to us. Click that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we'll see you next time.